Hello there, very good evening and a warm welcome to the news live on Rupavahini Channel Live. I'm Sharon Mascarenhas.
Good evening, I'm Clifford Richards. First of all, we take a look at the headlines.
Small and medium-scale rice mill owners state that there is no shortage of rice in the country. Curfew will be in place in all districts from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. from tomorrow. Movements between districts permitted except in the Colombo and Gampaha districts. Although curfew is relaxed, health and safety guidelines need to be adhered to strictly. The 10th COVID-19 related death reported today.
And moving on to the stories in detail. The Small and Medium-Scale Cooperative Society of Rice Producers has taken steps to release 25,000 kilos of rice to 8 cooperatives in the Polonnaruwa district. Steps have been taken to sell stocks of rice produced by the society to cooperative sales outlets at a price of 89 rupees. The distribution of rice for cooperatives in Polonnaruwa took place under the chairman of this cooperative society, Mudit Pereira. The society states if further assistance is received from the government, a continuous supply of rice can be maintained. Chairman of the Small and Medium-Scale Cooperative Society of Rice Producers, Mudit Pereira, says, when perusing data of the Department of Agriculture, no shortage of paddy can be observed. Therefore, he points out that the so-called shortage appears to be an artificial shortage created by a handful of large-scale rice mill owners. He noted the decision to reduce the price of a kilo of rice by 8 to 10 rupees was taken to grant relief to consumers who have lost their source of income due to the spread of coronavirus. He alleged that large-scale rice mill owners are those who purchase paddy for the government and enjoy privileges. However, they still continue to earn an unjustifiable profit of 10 to 15 rupees per kilo of rice. He added that this can be defined as an inhuman act given the situation. Convening a media briefing in Polonnaruwa yesterday, the Polonnaruwa District Small and Medium-Scale Rice Mill Owners Association stated that the government is prepared to provide rice under a controlled price. Chairman of the Polonnaruwa District Small and Medium-Scale Rice Mill Owners Association, DM Isharan Anakara, challenged large-scale rice mill owners to produce a bill if they have purchased paddy for prices above 50 as at 31st March, since the current price tag of 55 rupees has been marked after the end of March. He noted that currently the Polonnaruwa district, under the small and medium-scale rice production, around 100 rice mills are operated by members of this association, whilst over 50 mills are currently operational. He further stated if paddy is purchased under a certified price, they are willing to sacrifice at this juncture and provide rice at a price of 90 rupees.
The President's Media Division notified today that effect from tomorrow, curfew in all districts of the island will be in force from 10 a.m. to 4 a.m. until further notice. Although curfew is relaxed, guidelines mandated by the health authorities for the control of the coronavirus need to be adhered to fully. With the detection of COVID-19 patients, firstly, the police curfew was imposed in the Puttalam district and the Negombo and Kochikade police divisions on the 18th of March. Thereafter, steps were taken to impose curfew in the Vattala and Jayala police divisions from 10 a.m. the following day. The government announced island-wide curfew with effect from the 20th of March. Under the imposed quarantine curfew, movements between the districts were prohibited with effect from the 23rd of March. Due to the rapid spread of the coronavirus, thereafter the Western Province and the Puttalam district were declared high-risk areas. With the detention of the high number of patients from the Jaffna and Kandy districts, curfew in these districts was extended indefinitely from the 29th of March. Curfew was imposed until further notice on the 9th of April in the Ratnapura and Palmadulla police divisions after several infected persons were detected from these areas. The Beruela, Pannila and China Fort areas, which were by then placed in isolation, were taken out of their lockdown on the 3rd of May. The restoration of economic activities and public life activities whilst curfew was in place commenced on the 11th of May. Thereafter, with effect from the 18th of this month, except for Colombo and Gampaha districts, curfew in place in other districts was enforced from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. Once the imposed curfew is lifted at 5 a.m. tomorrow, curfew will once again be in place island-wide from 10 a.m. to 4 a.m. Even though curfew is relaxed when carrying out the operations of factories, institutions, offices and trade stalls, and when transporting passengers, health guidelines need to be followed properly. These include disinfecting, hand washing, wearing face masks and maintaining social distancing. The decision on the number of employees to be summoned and the categories of employees to be summoned needs to be decided by the heads of the respective public sector or private sector organizations based on health guidelines and the nature of the service provided by the organization. DIG Ajit Rohana says regulations pertaining to maintaining social distancing will be strictly implemented from tomorrow. DIG Ajit Rohana says it is mandatory to maintain social distancing at public places and when engaging in various tasks, as non-adherence in this respect will result in law being strictly enforced against violators and the management of their respective organizations. He noted today the Director General of the Health Services provided the IGP with a special guideline calling on action to be taken under quarantine laws against individuals who fail to maintain social distancing. The DIG also stated, except in the Colombo and Gampar districts, movements across other districts will resume and those arriving in the Colombo and Gampar districts for their employment and for essential services are permitted entry to and exit from these two districts as before. He further stated that hired vehicles are also permitted within these districts. However, social distancing must be adhered to, and he explained when it comes to three-wheelers, 2 passengers can occupy the passenger seat, whilst in a hired car, 3 passengers can be transported.
සාමාන්‍ය කුලී මෝටර රථයක නැත්නම් කාර් එකක ගමන් කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ රියදුරා හැරෙනකොට 3 දිනෙකට පමණයි.
Movements between districts will be permitted from tomorrow except in the Colombo and Gampar districts. The government has taken steps to facilitate adequate transportation for passengers arriving in Colombo from outstation areas for their employment. Thereby, except in the Colombo and Gampar districts, interprovincial bus services across the other districts will be operational from tomorrow. Interprovincial buses flying along the Colombo-Kandy main road will run only up to Nitambua, whilst interprovincial buses arriving along the number 5 route will run up to Minuanggoda. Interprovincial buses arriving along the Gaul road will run up to Panadura, whilst buses arriving along the high-level and low-level roads will run up to Avisavela. Interprovincial buses arriving from Anuradhapura, Puttalam and Kuliapitiya, which head for Colombo along the Negombo road, need to terminate their journey at Negombo. Along the Southern Expressway, buses will operate only up to Kottava. Buses will begin operating at 4:30 a.m. and will end operating at 6 p.m. The General Manager of Railways, Dilanta Fernando, says 27 trains have been deployed to facilitate passengers heading for Colombo, as around 16,800 passengers have registered to travel in these trains. The Railways General Manager further states in the event of an official requirement, a passenger can produce his official identity card and travel in one of the additional compartments of these trains. Patrols are continuing to arrest curfew violators and to seize vehicles involved in curfew violations. Within the past 24 hours, the number of arrested curfew violators have been 1,710, whilst the number of vehicles to have been seized is 557. Within the period beginning from 6 p.m. on the 20th of March until 6 p.m. today, the total number of curfew violators to have been arrested has been 64,387, whilst the number of vehicles that were seized within this period has been 18,169. The number of legal cases filed in connection with the curfew violations from the 18th of March up to 6 a.m. today has been at 24. 5,497, whilst the number of penalties imposed has been 7,934. Interprovincial bus operations will commence from tomorrow except in the Colombo and Gampar districts. The facilities at the termination points were inspected today. A group of officers of the Podujana Private Bus Union inspected the facilities at the Panathura bus terminal, which will be the destination terminal along the Gaul Road route. Meanwhile, the facilities at the destination terminal along the Avisavila route were inspected by the representatives of the Seethawaka Urban Council. Seethawaka Mayor Ranavira Kurugala Arachi stated that these locations have been identified to park extra buses should an additional number of buses arrive at the bus terminal. Meanwhile, Tower Hall Theatre Foundation and Canoeing Hotels Private Limited have extended financial donations to COVID-19 Healthcare and Social Security Fund. These financial donations were handed over to Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa recently. Director General of the Tower Hall Theatre Foundation, Douglas Sirivarthana, handed over the contribution of the staff of the foundation, a day's worth of their salary, to the COVID-19 Healthcare and Social Security Fund. Chairman of the Canoeing Hotels Private Limited, Nishanta Dayananda, donated 1 million rupees to the fund on behalf of the company. And back at home, chief incumbent of the Ampara Puthuvil Muhudu Mahaviharaya, the Venerable Varakapola Indrasiri Thera, says with the establishment of the Naval Detachment, the security of the Viharaya has been ensured. The Thera says tasks pertaining to the conservation of artifacts in the premises of the Viharaya and into the legal status of the land will be attended to this week. A naval detachment was established for the protection of the Viharaya after the Defence Secretary and a group of heads of the security units inspected Viharayas in the Ampara district upon the instructions of the President and the Prime Minister. The naval detachment is ensuring the protection of the Viharaya around the clock. Due to the lack of attention given to this Viharaya, a considerable portion of land out of the 72 acres of land belonging to the Viharaya have been encroached by illegal dwellers. Recently, it was observed that these unauthorized sellers or settlers have constructed private residences within the archaeological boundary limits and even removed boundary pillars at their certain places.
The 10th COVID-19 related death in Sri Lanka was reported today. The cremation of the deceased individual will take place tonight itself. The deceased is a female aged 51 who was sent to the Trincomalee Quarantine Centre upon arrival from Kuwait. Director General of Health Services Consultant Dr. Anil Jasinghe states that it was confirmed that the deceased female had contracted COVID-19. The number of newly confirmed COVID-19 cases reported in the country today was 41. These persons were amongst those sent to quarantine at the quarantine facilities in Trincomalee and Minaria upon arriving from Kuwait. Currently, the number of COVID-19 positive patients undergoing treatment at the hospitals is 477, whilst the number of fully recovered patients that have been discharged from hospitals stands at 695. Meanwhile, the total number of recoveries account for 58%, whilst patients undergoing treatment accounting for 40%. The COVID-19 death rate in the country is 0.84%. Director General of Health Services Consultant Dr. Anil Jasinghe observes that tomorrow, when curfew is lifted and normalcy is restored, it will have to be a new normal in which behavioral patterns need to be altered, where employees of both the public and private sectors, persons attached to businesses and factories, as well as ordinary citizens, need to maintain social distancing, respiratory hygiene and hair hygiene. Dr. Jasinghe notes, previously, the Ministry of Health published a set of guidelines in this regard, and it is now popular throughout the country. In addition, Dr. Jasinghe points out that another 50 highly important guidelines are being released to the website of the Ministry of Health.
ශ්‍රී ලංකාව පුරා ප්‍රචලිත වුණා. අපි දන්නවා එය ආයතන අමාත්‍යාංශය විශාල වශයෙන් භාවිතා කරනවා. අද දිනේ හෝ හෙට දිනේ තවත් ඉතා වැදගත් වූ මාර්ගෝපදේශ 50ක් සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශයේ වෙබ් අඩවියට මුදා හරිනවා. විවිධ සමාජ ක්‍රියාකාරකම් අලලා සකස් කළ මාර්ගෝපදේශ තමයි කියන්නේ.
Meanwhile, the number of newly infected COVID-19 patients detected yesterday was 52, out of which 49 were individuals who have arrived from Kuwait, whilst the other two are security force personnel and one individual has returned from Indonesia.
ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ මිලියන් 22ක් වූ සමස්ත ජනතාවට තමයි මේ මාර්ගෝපදේශ සහ මේ ක්‍රමවේදයන් හඳුන්වලා දීලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ නිසා හැම පුරවැසියෙක්ම හැම ආයතනයක්ම හැම සංවිධානයක්ම මේ කෙරෙහි දැඩි අවධානය යොමු කරලා කටයුතු කිරීම ඉතාම අවශ්‍ය බව කියන්න ඕන.
Conducting PCR tests for identified individuals is continuously underway. Thereby, PCR testing and the collection of blood samples from 30 persons employed in hired transportation services and in the transportation of food items took place at Nugegoda today. A group of 30 persons who completed their quarantine at the quarantine center maintained at the Rajagiri Ayurveda Teaching Hospital were discharged upon completion of their quarantine today. They were sent to quarantine upon arriving to the country from Malaysia. A group of 14 persons completed their quarantine at the booster quarantine facility run by the Navy today. This group was attached to duties pertaining to international vessel protection. A group of 181 migrant Sri Lankans who were stranded in Russia due to the spread of coronavirus arrived in the country today. This is the second batch to be flown back from Russia.
Meanwhile, the Met Department forecasts an enhancement in the prevailing showery condition due to a lower atmospheric disturbance in the vicinity of the island. Thereby, showers exceeding 100 millimeters of rain can be expected in the western, Sabragamua, central, southern, northwestern and over provinces tomorrow, the day after tomorrow and on the next 2 days to follow. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places elsewhere after 2 p.m. Wind speeds can be increased up to 50 to 60 kilometers per hour at times during thunder showers. A flood threat, depending on the strength of the rainfall, is prevalent. The Department of Irrigation cautions those residing in low-lying areas of the Kalani, Kalu, Bentara, Ging, Nilvala, that's the Gangas, as well as Mioya, Daduroya, Maoya, Attanagaluoya, Kiramoya and Oruboka to be vigilant. Meanwhile, thunder showers can be expected in the sea areas extending from Hambantota to Pothuel. Wind speeds in these areas can be increased up to 70 to 80 kilometers per hour, resulting in instant roughness at sea.
The Department of Examination states the post circulating on social media displaying an A-level timetable is a fake one. Commissioner General of Examinations Sanath Pujitha calls on the public to rely only on the official notifications issued by the Ministry of Education and the Department of Examinations pertaining to the GCE Advanced Level Examination. The Commissioner General of Examinations points out, in the wake of the challenging situation faced by the country, far-sighted decisions pertaining to the education of the country need to be taken. He further states, it is very disappointing to see certain groups in society posting such misleading content. The Commissioner General of Examinations has made a complaint to the Posts and Telecommunication Commission regarding this said fake news item.
Construction work of the base of the Hataraskotua of the Sandahirusaya Stupa, which is being constructed in the historic Anuradhapura sacred city, commenced at the auspicious time this morning. The event was presided over by the Wanni Commander Major General Dhammika Jayasinghe with the blessings of the Mahasangha. The construction of the Sandahirusaya was initiated in commemoration of the heroic war heroes who sacrificed their lives in the humanitarian operation to deliver the country from 26 years of terrorism and in remembrance of the citizens who were adversely affected by the devastation caused by war. Construction work commenced on the 22nd of November 2010. Currently, the stupa has reached a height of 94 feet and 4 inches. Work of the base of the Hataraskotua commenced at the auspicious time at 6:47 this morning with the blessings of the Atamasthana-adhipati, the Venerable Palligama Sirinivasathera, and amidst the chanting of Setpirit by the prelates. The Sandahirusaya Stupa is being constructed in a land area of 13 acres located to the south of the Jayasri Mabodhya. The stupa, once constructed, will reach a height of 282 feet with a parameter of 800 feet. The meritorious ceremony to deposit relics in the Dagaba took place in November 2014 under the patronage of the then President Mahinda Rajapaksa and the then Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Construction work of the stupa is underway, led by the 9th Engineering Services Regiment with the contribution of several other regiments. The estimated number of bricks needed for the construction of the stupa is over 25 million. The number of cement bags needed is 181,000, whilst 15,000 cubes of sand and 11.6 million kilos of shunam are estimated to be utilized. Bricks with special designs are being produced at the Anuradhapura, Tantirimale, Galkaravela, Mayanganaya and Ampara. Around 500 cubes of rocks needed for the base of the stupa have been supplied by the Sri Lanka Air Force, whilst the total requirement of sand for the construction is supplied by the Sri Lanka Navy. Over the past 10 years, construction work was carried out with the labour contributed by the devotees who visited the area.
That's it on the news today, and do enjoy the rest of the programs. Take care and good night.